Alright, I didn't want to have to make this video, but sadly, they've gone and done it again. We have another terrible Heliolisk, or Heliolisk, or however you pronounce this Pokemon's name. Please tell me in the comment section. But yeah, they've gone and printed another one of these guys, and it is terrible. It has two attacks, which are terrible by today's standards. The first attack searches your deck for basic energy cards, or like 4 energy cards. So you could, in theory, find special energy, right? Which is, I guess, kind of cool. But at the same time, there's just better ways of doing this. And the other attack, Electro Slug, does 80 damage for 3 colorless energy, which is just terrible. The artwork is good, it looks like he's having fun. But this definitely continues a trend in the Pokemon TCG where we just have terrible cards for Heliolisk. And I think it just sucks that there's so many Pokemon like Heliolisk, which do get a lot of cards in the TCG, funny enough, but most of them are just terrible. Like Volcarona, for example, is another Pokemon in this situation. And funnily enough, if we scroll all the way back up to fire types in Supercharged Breaker, which should be near the start, I just scroll down here. Yep, there we go. Another Volcarona. Again, terrible. And it's just like, why do they keep doing this? Why do we keep getting these Pokemon in abundance? Not in small amounts either, just in an abundance. But they're all terrible. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And I think for metal types, they've gone and printed yet another Bronzong as well for some reason. So we've got a Bronzong here, which has the attack double impact, flip 2 coins, does 100 damage for each heads. Just kind of like whatever, sort of a GLC piece. But, if anyone's seen my recent video where I just talk about all the different Bronzongs in GLC, they'll know that there's so many Bronzongs at this point. Like, why is there so many of certain Pokemon? There's like so many Gardevoirs, Charizards, Raichu's another one. There's some more niche Pokemon like the Alolan variants, which seem to be like cropping back up in the game, which I think is really cool. But there's still just so many Pokemon that get either overused, or when they get overused, the cards are terrible. And Heliolisk, as far as I can tell, has never once had a good card, which is just terrible. I think it's cool that things like GLC at least exist, because in GLC, a lot of these are all right, they're okay. Some of them aren't terrible, like this one, 120 for Lightning Double Colorless, 30 damage, 20 bench Pokemon, has some limited synergy with the likes of Stunfisk. And then this one with Parabolic Spark can be quite good. But aside from that, if we're just looking at standard and, what Pokemon is designing cards for, really, then all of these are trash. Like this one lightning energy, 70 damage, and that's it. This is the kind of attack that I would expect to see on a stage 1 before it becomes a stage 2. Not a final evolution of a Pokemon. And it also does 20 to itself just to add salt to the wound, as if 70 would be enough in the first place. It's just like, what is going on with Heliolisk? Like, he's just never had a good card. So yeah, I think it's a shame, really. It's cool that it's colorless at the very least. We don't get many colorless Heliolisk, if that's your jam in GLC, I guess. But like for standard, it just sucks because we see so many of these Pokemon that get printed and they're like all terrible. Like Volcarona again is just another example of that. And my main hope is, I guess, that one day they'll get competitive cards and such. Maybe one day. But honestly, it just doesn't feel very likely at this point. But yeah. I've got some more positive videos planned for the future, by the way. It's not just going to be negative content forever, but I just really wanted to talk about this because I just don't really see many people bringing this up, that we get so many of certain Pokemon and they're all terrible and they're all trash. And it's just like, why do you keep doing this? At least give some love to Pokemon that don't get much representation in the TCG, like Mammoth Swine or the single prize line for Chestnut or Superior, for example. They don't get featured very much, so print them and give them fun attacks. Or like, if you're going to make every card, at least, well, not every card, but most cards not competitive and semi-casual, at least make them kind of interesting. Like this one's all right in the sense that you can find special energy, but I'm really giving this thing far too much credit than it'll ever deserve, because there's no way you would set up a stage 1 Pokemon just to find special energy from your deck. Like maybe you'd go to that length in GLC with, Porygon Z, because that's a really good card in GLC. But for standard, awful, just terrible. So yeah, let me know what you think about this issue down below. Do you think it's all right? Do you not have a problem with this? Or, you're like me, who's getting kind of frustrated with this? Or, Yeah, let me know what you think down below. It's been Empower, and yeah, thank you for watching.